Or maybe a little bit.
Well, you owned it.
I don't think I ever sat this far down.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah.
How are you,
This is
Jonathan?
the meeting of the Franklin Library Board of Trustees. It's Wednesday, August 23rd, 2017. It's about 5:30 p.m. I note that we do have a quorum, and I will call this meeting to order. Shall we all stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take the roll. Agnes
Here.
Kulabanya,
Yes.
Iris Kislin,
Here.
Nicholas Champa, I'm here, Philip Kramer,
Here.
NBC,
Here.
John Clyde.
Here.
We are all here.
Okay.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, also called the Sunshine Law. Schedule and notification of this meeting have been provided to the Courier News, the Home News Tribune, and the Franklin Township Clerk. Copies have been posted in the library vestibule and are also available at the reference desk. Seeing no members of the public here, we're not going to open the public portion of the meeting at this time. We've all received minutes from the prior meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Seconded. Is there any discussion of the motion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, there's 2 abstentions and 1, 2, and 4 positives. The minutes are accepted. I'd like to ask for the director's reports. January?
Okay, let's start with the financial, and there's 2 months' worth of financial.
Yes.
I've included the ones from June, and that's important. June marks the end of the fiscal year,
Right.
and it gives us a little idea of how everything ended up, which I think we'll all be happy about.
So do you see any items on here that you would think you would change the budgeting for next year, or no?
I already changed postage and delivery, moved it up a little bit. And I think that was basically the only one I moved up.
Well, real estate tax,
That's confusing because in the past we put the CAM is in with the taxes. We used to put the CAM in with the rent, so that's why the rent came out lower and the taxes came out higher because the CAM is in with it, but really it's not what it looks like.
What is CAM?
Common area maintenance,
Maintenance,
that's the
right.
monthly fee we have to pay.
Jim, I have a question. Who do we pay real estate taxes to and on what?
Franklin Township,
For which? This
for the
one?
branch,
The branch?
yeah.
And you will see the branch later.
no, they pay taxes to the township, to the county, to the school board,
Yeah, all of it.
to the library board.
Library.
And I have inquired about this to the Somerset County Board of Taxation. We cannot get out of it if we do not own the building, which is one of the incentives to own our own building.
It just surprises me they're a public entity, but, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unusual situation.
And then the retirement line, is that just kind of a trust you put money into, so you don't
Well, that's-
necessarily use it every year, but you,
That's the PERS
Oh, okay.
figure.
So you use it when you
Well, that's
have
what
to
we
use
pay
it.
the town. The town hasn't billed us yet for this year's. That's why that's sitting there.
Oh, okay. I'll have them hurry up on
They,
that.
they really should.
Good
Thanks a
idea.
lot, Mayor.
Good idea.
I'll bring that up. Okay.
Are there any other questions about the financial reports?
Or do you want to look at July and,
There's really not too much you can.
Are these available on the web?
no, no.
I'll ask the question I always ask January. Are there any surprises here?
No,
Okay.
there are no surprises.
Okay.
And it seems that the library is a safe place to work because the workman's comp is.
Yes. I try very hard on that,
Yes.
very hard on that. And there actually is a lot of potential for people to hurt themselves, more than you would think.
Well, one of the places we discussed was the new memorial out front, the
Right.
stones.
But that's not workman's comp. That would be
that's, I
something
didn't
else.
hear what you
This is-
said.
Yeah,
So we've already used half of the equipment service.
that's
Mm.
because we have annual contracts.
Ah,
So you're seeing a big chunk go out for that.
very good. Okay.
Seeing no other questions on the financial report, January, would you like to give us your program report or
Sure.
summarize your program report? We've all seen it. Yes.
I'll just give you what I think are the important parts. We had 113 programs, and 2,375 people came to them. A lot of these were for the concerts. The concerts always do very well. You can see audiences of over 100 people. And we had library representatives at the 4th of July celebration here in the town on the 3rd. And they got to speak to quite a few people, and they learned about the programs and the services that the library offers. And summer reading is over. I'm not going to read all the statistics, but all three, children's, adult, and teen, were quite successful. And that basically is it.
Can I ask a question? I noticed that a lot of the numbers between the current year and last year have gone down. Do you, in attendance and registrations
Right.
in an assorted, do you think that hoopla has anything to do with it, the new technology, or?
No, I think it's actually it's a phenomenon throughout the library world. It's going down throughout all libraries. Generally, we attribute it to the economy getting better. People, they have more money,
Makes
don't
sense.
rely so much on free things, although
Right.
I would hope that everybody would still use the library because it's still worthwhile. But I don't think it's hoopla or anything else.
What I hear in my community is that a lot of people use the library.
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. We get a lot of people when they have children, and then we get a lot of
seniors.
people once they're older, and it's the
Yeah.
middle group that kind of falls away.
I think it's one of the most popular things we offer in the town.
And everybody speaks highly of it.
Any other questions about the director's report? Okay. We'll move on to a president's report. And what I'd like to report is that during July, the township manager, Robert Hornlocker, and architects held a meeting to gather input on the needs and wants for a new community youth center that will be built on Lewis Street. The Franklin Library was well represented, and I wish to thank January Adams, Iris Kislin, and Mayor Philip Kramer for attending and participating in that meeting. Another thing is I would like to generate or appoint some committees. Perhaps one of them should be appointed right away. That one would be to draw up a roadmap where the library is and where it wishes to go in the next couple of years. And I have talked to a couple of people, and John Clyde has agreed to serve on this, and I believe, Iris, are you?
I thought I was on the other.
Oh, okay. Okay. NBC has been thinking about it?
No.
NBC says no.
Okay.
And Agnes?
Can
Is
I,
this-
before you go any further, I have a question. I have the referendum from Senator Bateman's office for the referendum that's going to be on the ballot for in November, and which will tell us what, not right away, but it will, if we're going to be getting any money. So would not the amount of money that we'd be getting it reflect on how we see the future as where we'll be?
Certainly, money is always an issue, but the motivation here is that I think we should be prepared to convince our own member, Mayor Philip Kramer, and the council that we're seriously thinking about where we want to be, and to have a sheet of paper, a piece of paper, or a couple of paragraphs that spell it out, I think would help us in this cause. And,
I'll do.
okay.
You will?
Okay, so we have a committee, and
Of one?
No. John? And you're doing it too, right?
well, I will,
Yes.
I will be I think the rules say that I'm a part of every committee, so
Right.
I think that will. In the future, there should be another committee to study personnel policies and see how we are, see whether we're competitive with other similar jobs in the area. But for now, that should be it, and we'll talk about how to implement this roadmap statement. Moving along, we have some correspondence from a resident. This is from Helene Schulman, who says, "Dear January Adams, the Franklin Township Library has been doing a wonderful job in keeping up with the times and the wants and needs of its constituents. I have seen a very positive change since moving to the area 12 years ago. The library is certainly more welcoming, accommodating, and engaging. In this day and age when the electronic media world has taken hold, your library seems to know how to serve its diversified population and has made itself a definite go-to place. There is something for everyone." Just to say thank you, Helene Schulman.
Very nice.
Thank you, Helene.
Okay.
Do you know her?
No.
I don't know her either. It's very nice of
Does
her
it,
to do.
what address, where does she live?
She doesn't say.
But she does have an email address.
No,
Send
I
from
just,
her iPad.
Yeah.
Is there any old business?
yes. Okay.
Iris?
I spoke to I don't know why I keep calling him doctor. Because I usually call him Kip, so
Kip.
anyway. Senator Bateman's office, and they were very kind to send me the whole referendum, but it really, can I just read this,
Sure.
I think?
Please.
This is the interpretive statement. Approval of this bond act will allow the state to sell $125 million in state general obligation bonds. Proceeds from the bonds will be used to provide grants to construct, expand, and equip public libraries. Municipalities or counties that fund public libraries will match the grant amount. The state librarian, in consultation with the president of Thomas Edison State College, will set eligibility criteria for the grants. So, I don't even know
So
where.
in other words, if there is a referendum and we apply, we could have more money for the,
Right.
for,
But what's interesting, it says here further, the bill directs the state librarian in consultation with the president, Thomas Edison State Library, to establish eligibility. The state librarian, with approval of the president, will prepare a list of eligible projects. Under the bill, for any approved project financed by bond proceeds, the grant award will support 50% of the cost of the project, and the appropriate local governing entity in the area served by the public library will support 50% of the cost of the project. The bill provides that the bond act is to be submitted to the people for approval at the general election to be held at least 70 days after enactment, and appropriates $5,000 to the Department of State for expenses in connection with the publication of the public question. New Jersey public libraries serve an invaluable role for the state's citizens, in addition to providing traditional services such as book borrowing, lending. Public libraries have a long, well, this we know. So
the state would pay half?
we have to, and the township would have to pay half.
The governing, it could be this library that pays the half, because we are one of the governing bodies.
Yeah, I think
the
that's what it means.
constituents. However, if the township council would like to, that's okay too.
I don't think you should count on that.
Now, I have a question. There was a 70-day, will this be met? In other words, will this really be on the November?
Yes, it
Okay,
is. It
so the
is.
70-day has
It's on the
been
ballot.
met.
It's on the
Okay.
ballot. This is,
Okay.
this is the whole thing and it's Senator Bateman's bill. I mean, he's in
okay.
charge of it.
I think this is very interesting to us and very,
But we don't know the rules of, it doesn't specify
Right.
what the rules will be.
Right.
no, but that
what
will
the-
be
what the parameters,
determined
right.
if, once it's passed.
So I think it's more reason that we move expeditiously, because for all you know, they might say shovel-ready projects or something. So we
So-
want to be ready.
Okay, now what happened as the result of the meeting that how did that progress?
The library board meeting?
No, the board
I mean,
meeting
the-
that we went to, the special meeting.
The Lewis
Especially
Street.
The Lewis Street
Right.
meeting.
Mm.
I don't know why I called it the library board meeting. So that would affect our northern branch issue. And in speaking to some council members after, the not terrible, but not as promising news that I would have wanted was, the thought is that, well, many people want to be, there are many competing issues for room in that building. We are one of them. Now, that's somewhat discouraging, but I think one thing that might be encouraging is, I think the council members who said that didn't have in mind that we can come in with substantial money. What we're looking for is essentially free land and part of a building, so we're not spending all of the money. But the library should be, and we don't know how much, because it depends how much the southern branch will cost. But in my mind, we have a substantial amount of money we can contribute. We're not asking for free. So
Who are the deciders as to how the building will be proportioned and to whom?
council. Now, they're having a study about that, and that study will obviously have great influence, but the final decision is council.
And who's doing the study?
I don't know the name of a firm.
Oh, so it's a firm that's.
Yes, we've hired a firm to do a study. It was the ones who ran that meeting.
The architect,
Right.
That was
They're
the architect.
Right, and they're going to come up with you need X number of rooms, and they're to be of this size, et cetera, et cetera.
But are they going to take into consideration the need in that area, that this is the area that's the important part.
Well, what I think my role in this is to make sure that we get a time before those people as they're doing their survey, and then this board has to be ready, and maybe the committee you just mentioned is an important thing to have, that we've got to have a good pitch for them.
Yes.
To show to them that we are an important consideration. Because if that committee says you have an opportunity here to not only have a youth center, but a library in connection with that, that would serve the youth center well, there's a lot of synergy there, and it serves the rest of the public. You know, I'm making all this
No,
up, of
it's
course.
all the truth. That's how we feel.
But I think we need to be prepared to make that case, and I need to do my job to make sure, and I don't think it'll be that hard of a job, but to make sure that we get that voice, we get an opportunity to meet with them.
At that meeting, you know, it was stated that they wanted to bring in people who would give services like counseling service or whatever to the people to the kids of that area, and those are all important things. But having, I think, a library next to a youth center is more important, because those services can be sourced out around to buildings around that area where the library.
Most people, or not, many people think of a library as a warehouse with books and a card catalog. This library is far more than that, and there are so many services that this library or that branch of the library would be able to provide that would help the mission of that youth center. I think that's the way we need to go. You know, when you talk with someone and you want to convince them, you try to think of what's important to them, not necessarily what's important to you. And what is important to them, and as it turns out to us, is supporting the community. And I think we can support their mission. So I think it's incumbent on us to do the best we can for that and come up with a convincing strategy or argument for them, et cetera.
One of the things that I find that it's wonderful is that we have people here who the seniors can come to learn about their computers. With all the technology, it's confusing to a lot of older people, and there's somebody here who does it, which is wonderful. And so it would only be for the kids, the youth center and the kids using the library, but if the youth center during the day could be empty, those rooms could be used for seniors.
Yep.
Or anybody else who needs help with anything. I mean, it's multi-friendly.
Okay. Any other comments regarding the Lewis Street proposed youth center? Is there any other old business?
Old people. Scratch that.
Is there any new business? Seeing no new business, I would ask for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing land acquisition.
I so move that we go into it. I'm
NBC.
sorry.
NBC moved,
I second it.
okay. And it is 5:54.
49.
Do we have to disconnect? Do you want
I am interested in it.
this? Is three structures on the site from the 1930s.
Is there a motion to come out of executive session? NBC?
Yeah.
Second.
Iris seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. We're out of executive session. and it is
14.
6:13.
Okay.
I'd like to confirm that our next meeting is September 27th this year. And if there's no further business, I'd like to call for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned, and it is 6:14. Thank you.
I don't know.
Dick, I'm gonna be